Mark 6:30 through 44. The apostles came back to Jesus and told him all they had done and taught. "All right," he said, "it's time for a break. Come away, just you, and we'll go somewhere lonely and private." Crowds of people were coming and going, and they didn't even have time to eat. So they went off privately in a boat to a deserted spot. And crowds saw them going, realized what was happening, hurried on foot from all the towns, and arrived there first. When Jesus got out of the boat, he saw the huge crowd and was deeply sorry for them, because they were like a flock without a shepherd. So he started to teach them many things. It was already getting late when his disciples came to him and said, "Look, there's nothing here. It's getting late. Send them away. They need to go off into the countryside and the villages and buy themselves some food." "Why don't you give them something?" Jesus replied. "Are you suggesting," they asked, "that we should go and spend 200 dinars and get food for this lot?" "Well," said Jesus, "how many loaves have you got? Go and see." They found out and said, 5 and a couple of fish." Jesus told them to sit everyone down, group by group, on the green grass. So they sat down in companies by hundreds and fifties. Then he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, looked up to heaven, blessed the bread, broke it, and gave it to his disciples to give to the crowd. Then he divided the 2 fish for them all. Everyone ate and had plenty. They picked up the leftovers, and there were 12 baskets of broken pieces and of the fish. The number of men who had eaten was 5,000. By the time Mark was writing, it would have been impossible for any Christian reading this not to think of the action they all knew so well, with someone taking bread, giving thanks to God, blessing it, breaking it, and giving it out. The early church saw the Last Supper as the kind of explosive climax to the sequence of meals Jesus had had with them all along. Not least, these extraordinary feedings out in the lonely countryside. And they saw these meals and the frequent celebrations of Jesus with his friends as balanced by the sharing of meals they enjoyed in the early church, where, because they lived as an extended family, it mattered rather a lot that the food was properly distributed. Mark's point is that in God's kingdom, there is indeed a new creation bursting out in all directions. The generosity of spirit that made Jesus react with sympathy and compassion when the crowds invaded his quiet, private time alone with his friends is the same generosity of spirit that we associate with God, the Creator. And since everything we know about God we know most securely because of Jesus, it shouldn't surprise us that sometimes, always surprisingly, but always characteristically, Jesus does what God does, providing richly for those who have come to be with him, even when they'd crashed in on his evening off. Let's pray. Help us, generous Lord, to trust you to provide not only for the things we know we need, but the things we don't know we need. And help us to be generous and compassionate with those who turn to us for help.